Some fun news for today because it turns out Beijing Biden is an idiot and the media is beginning to notice that his massive growing incompetence is paving the way for a Trump presidency in 2024. And naturally, they are shitting themselves, which is always really good fun. So let's check it out, shall we? Let's be clear. For most people, Joe Biden was not elected last November to get us out of Afghanistan. Oh lord, CNN just said something true! Let's see how fast they balls that up. His expansion was not a blank check to oversee a dramatic expansion of the federal government, and yet every Trump supporter knew that was going to happen, because the Dems are more attached to government overreach than a lesbian is to a vibrator with rechargeable batteries. By the way, keep this point in mind because we're going to circle back to this one. His victory wasn't even wholly about halting the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, although surely that was top of mind for many voters at the time. Yeah, but his voters are morons who can't fathom what he means by shut down the virus, and I don't just mean the ones who are deceased. For many, Biden was elected for one thing and one thing only: to walk our nation, our democracy, back from the cliff edge where former President Donald Trump and his cronies had led it, and where below weighted a nonsense narrative that I will not dignify by reading it. If I keep being subjected to this bullshit narrative, I'm gonna chuck a spoon-shaped crowbar at their loose-knitted noggins. It is painful how many people have absolutely no concept of what any of those words mean. Even as the senile old dimwit in charge is trying to force people to undergo a medical procedure against their will in order to earn a fucking living. Simply put, Biden's mandate was to ensure that Trump would never ever occupy the White House again, and ideally leave the political stage for good. Yeah, good luck with that. Again, try electing a guy that doesn't have the IQ of a bag of hammers. Yet we're not even a year into his first term, and Biden's approval rating has dipped at 42% thanks to political fumbles that are also creating an opening for a 2024 Trump run. Which he will win, easily, because this is what happens when you run a complete dimwit who's never had a single political success despite being in the machinery for half a damn century, and his only campaign slogan is, "I'm not that guy." And then when you get in, you're that thick that you undo everything the previous administration did without ever acknowledging what was actually competent legislation, which leaves us with only two possible conclusions. You're hopelessly corrupt and psychotic, or you're retarded. Oh, great choices. Frankly, I think it's both. I just realized Trump could emulate Biden's 2020 strategy and just go, "Yeah, I'm not that guy." And he's got 4 years to back up that he's not full of shit either. When Biden delivered his victory speech, asterisks needed the size of the Grand fucking Canyon, on November the 7th, 2020, he spoke about being for we the people and how we had to run to restore the soul of the nation and unify the country. Yeah, it wasn't to keep his fucked up drug-addled kid out of prison or anything. Lord knows this man has been lying his ass off since the damn 80s, for heaven's sakes. I'm sure many of you know this. This guy has been caught plagiarizing at least 3 times, a Kinnock speech and 2 Kennedy ones. This is the resulting dropout from his first presidential run in the 80s.
There is one less candidate in the race for the presidency tonight. Delaware Senator Joseph Biden dropped out of the hunt today, saying the disclosures about his plagiarism in law school and his exaggerations about his academic record made it impossible for him to continue.
I do it with incredible reluctance, and it makes me angry. I'm angry with myself for having been put myself in the position of having to make this choice.
The Delaware Democrat is the second candidate to be forced from the race by questions of character and integrity. Gary Hart dropped out earlier this year.
And people thought this fucker was going to unite anyone? Actually, he's unironically doing a really good job of uniting the entire country against him. But somehow, since that moment, the Biden administration seems to have forgotten its mandate, as well as everything else. Through a series of self-inflicted wounds, miscalculations, and gaffes, the Biden administration is priming the pump for a Trump presidency part 2. Thank God. Early on in Biden's presidency, Trump's omnipresence seemed to grow more distant by the day, thanks in part to his being kicked off Twitter and Facebook. Yes, and Trump took your ratings with him. But the former president nonetheless continues to be the most influential Republican in the country, with a recent CNN opinion poll showing that 63% of the Republicans and GOP-leaning independents still feel that Trump should be the leader of the GOP. Just over half believe that they have a better chance with Trump as the nominee than someone else. Recently, Trump has increased his media appearance and is planning rallies in states like Georgia and Iowa, the latter of which is the first caucus state. Veteran Trump advisor Jason Miller estimate the chance of the former president running again in 2024 is between 99 and 100%. And don't forget that Trump is building a war chest that already tops $100 million. It still tickles me to no end how these useless idiots are surprised a highly competent former president who happens to be a billionaire should be rather skilled at raising money. What world do these monkeys live in? President Biden, meanwhile, has blown a steady gust of wind into Trump's sails. Let's count the ways. Oh yes, please, let's do. Unlike his predecessors, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and even Barack Obama, Biden failed to name a single person from across the aisle to his cabinet, at least not anyone with public political affiliation to the GOP, an especially important signpost about rebuilding the country in a bipartisan manner. Okay, I have some mixed feelings about this. If it wasn't obvious by now, I am slowly moving towards anarchism myself, seeing as whenever government does anything bipartisan, quote-unquote, this is code speak for, great, we've managed to find a way to fuck the public in a way that assholes on both sides of the aisle can get behind. No pun intended. He took way too long to wield the tools at his disposal to confront the pandemic, which allowed COVID-19 to become even more politicized than it was under Trump. Piss off! It was you cockwits who did that! First by denouncing the vaccine for lack of transparency and that quote-unquote science under Trump was not to be trusted. Then you bastards went full Joseph Mengele, now mandating the poxy thing. He had executive orders for masks and testing, but his delay in enacting tougher policies, like his recent vaccine mandates, a positive step that could cover over 100 million Americans, arguably allowed the Delta variant to spread and gave Trump and his acolytes an opening to allege that Biden has failed. No, he failed because his policies literally fly in the face of science in a way that even a child could debunk. You idiots want to test only the unvaccinated, even though your own CDC says the vaccinated can still catch and spread the virus. You say the vaccinated are incredibly safe and well protected, and then literally in the next fucking sentence say the job of the federal government is to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated. For a party who's got such a massive hard-on for follow the science, you lot have an uncanny ability to ignore it at every fucking turn. The chaotic withdrawal of US troops from Afghanistan, where Biden strangely declared an extraordinary success, has made his administration look inept. The US has appeared weak and disorganized, ensuring that Trump's America First rhetoric will gain newfound meaning as we approach 2024. That was always going to happen. The guy is an Obama clone, for heaven's sakes. Lord knows Biden was not going to follow Trump's agenda, and he's bought off by the damn Chinese, for heaven's sakes. This is not news to anyone who's been paying attention. Mind you, that's not nearly as many people as we'd like it to be. Instead of looking merely to get on first base, Biden swung for the fences with a transformative legislative agenda that has yet to make its way through Congress at a time when the country needs Washington to show it's capable of getting the country back on track. Do you know how you get the country back on track, Washington? You fuck off! Considering literally everything you assholes have decided to stick your stupid fingers in, you've managed to wreck to shit. You've handed the world the most incompetent administration in US history, record-breaking low approvals in record-breaking time. I don't want to be the guy that says, yeah, my side is always right and your side is always wrong. But when you undo everything from the previous administration and you literally do not have a single positive thing to show for doing so, nothing but a pile of skulls and failure in your fossilized wake, you're kind of making that point for us. And his proposed multi-trillion-dollar package to expand the social safety net has left many of his small government independent supporters with a sense that the size of the federal government is growing too large and that Biden is captive to the AOC wing of the party. Okay, I don't know what the hell these people are snorting while they write this drivel, but there is no way in hell anyone with an IQ over 80 who dislikes big government would ever vote for a Democrat, seeing as Democrats have been big government wankers for over a damn century. From the segregation of Woodrow Wilson at the turn of the 20th century, the hellish nightmare of FDR's New Deal, and the Great Society programs of LBJ. Matter of fact, and I'm sure there must be more, but the only Dems I can recall in recent history that scaled anything back was the tax cuts by JFK and bizarrely Bill Clinton reducing welfare, for which he got an employment boost. Imagine that. And as far as being held captive by the spoiled bitch of tax the rich, hey, that rhymed. I joked before, if you were Biden's age in desperate need of a nap, it's very unlikely you're going to put up a fight against a bunch of harpies who don't shut the hell up. All of this has created a cloud of pessimism around Biden. Many expect Democrats to lose seats in the 2020 midterm elections. Good! Which will further fuel Trump's sense that America is eager to have him back on the scene. Yeah, because the current jackass getting booed and cursed everywhere he goes, while stadiums across the entire country are filled with chants saying "fuck Joe Biden," is a rather good indication the country is pissed at the catastrophic incompetence of the current administration. Do you know how many people would give their right bollock right now to see Trump back in the White House? I'm one of them. In my case, it would be the left one, but the point still stands. Biden needs to do America an urgent favor and fuck off and begin addressing COVID-19 like the existential threat that it is by using the awesome powers vested in his office. He needs to start governing in a bipartisan manner, embracing some of the GOP agenda as his own to widen the fissure between Trump and the rest of his party. Okay, deep breaths. The stupidity of this paragraph. Do you remember, sir, how you wrote at the beginning of this piece about the increasing size of the federal government? Probably not. This is what pisses me off about these idiots. They simply can't connect the dots, and it's dots they drew. 2 paragraphs ago, it was literally the expansion of the federal government is making independent voters uneasy, but now it's encouraged the fucker to use overreaching powers of the executive. Every time he's done this, it's resulted in a colossal cock-up. Why would you encourage this? Where is your logic? Oh my, this is insane! Many in America and the world are counting on Biden to not give Trump a path back towards electability, a sequel most Americans are uninterested in seeing. Really? You think so?
Fuck Joe Biden! 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 Fuck Joe Biden!
I think the people have spoken, and their words are fuck Joe Biden. And that's all for today. Until next time.